Welcome back to Power Boost. So, our topic today is on decluttering your mind. And when this topic was thought of, it was mainly because of it's a season of spring. People are actually looking to clean up their spaces, declutter, and it's a yearly ritual that we look at our spaces and try to declutter. But when it comes to our own mind, how often do we actually declutter the mind? Many people have this automatic ability to process things, delete it from their minds. But some of us don't naturally have that capability at this time. And how do you actually declutter the mind? But let's look at what is decluttering? If you look at the textbook definition of decluttering, it's really to tidy up or remove things that are not useful from a space. Now, what if we applied that same principle to the mind? Just remove things that are just not useful. But many of us don't do that. And what is that's preventing it? What is it that's really making us hold on to these thoughts and memories and things from the past? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that sometimes there's a fear that we don't want to see what's inside. And sometimes it is really just about, it's so overwhelming. Have you ever had a project or had things happen in your life and it just seems so much like it's too big to handle? And sometimes we don't realize that we can break it down into smaller pieces and get the project done. In the same way with our minds, when we can't declutter, you'll see this inability to listen, focus, and concentrate. We tend to procrastinate. We tend to look at others and sometimes compare, criticize. But a lot of that has to do with not wanting to go in and take a look and see what's inside to truly figure out how to declutter. And one of the most natural tools to declutter the mind is actually silence. And many of us kind of avoid silence now. There is so much stimulus out in the world. You have the TVs, you have social media, you have friends, family you can hang out with. And the only time that we really kind of became more introspective was during the pandemic, when we couldn't go out and do all that stuff. But what if, within that silence, we turned our attention inward and we allowed the mind just to be still? And we're not trying to do anything except observe. What's actually playing on the screen of your mind? And when we stop and just take an inventory of what's inside, it's amazing what we realize that we're holding on to. We have pain from the past. We have possible resentments of people. We could have just a to-do list that is kind of endless that we don't want to deal with. and so we distract ourselves. But what if, in that silence, we can actually just observe and let go? And truly only keep the things that are useful to us. If you look at the space behind me, it's pretty clear. It's very simple. And there's limited amount of things that you can see. Now imagine that space that is completely filled, completely cluttered, whether it's furniture, knickknacks. What would be the feeling that you had in that space? Sometimes with that simplicity comes a feeling of calm and peace. There's just enough to enhance the space, bring beauty to the space, and make the space functional. But imagine if there was so much furniture and clutter that you could barely move around. Would that same space feel peaceful and calm? Probably not. But it's the same way with your mind. The more we have within our mind, the less peace we feel, the less calmness we can bring into situations, and the more reactionary we become. So let's just take a minute to just pause and reflect, and just allow your mind to settle. And just bring your attention to the screen of your mind, to that conscious being of light, the soul. And allow the soul to be that observer for the mind. Just watching, not judging, and just taking an inventory. Is there anything that is playing on the screen of this mind that is no longer needed? Can I just accept whatever the scene is and let it go? And then allow yourself to just continuously take this awareness deeper. If there's a thought that keeps coming up that's persistent, just ask yourself, why is this thought coming? What is it wanting to teach me? Most of the time when we learn our lessons, those persistent thoughts just disappear. So allow the mind to just project whatever is being held in your heart within that deep subconscious mind. And just let it come, but let it go. And this observation really allows the mind process the information. It just lets the soul pick and choose what truly it wants to hold on to. We don't need to hold every thought, every scene or situation within the mind. And the more we let go, and the more we accept every situation as it is, the more space we create within the mind. And that space allows us to have the sense of creativity and a sense of peace. That there is silence, there is space. And with this deep silence and space within the mind, we're able to handle every situation with so much love and attention, knowing exactly what each scene needs. So from time to time, throughout the day, just bring this practice of attention to your mind. And when this meditation practice is regular, we check in with our minds in the mornings and the evenings. We allow the self to not create clutter in the mind. And we constantly are deleting the things that are no longer useful. Thank you for joining us. See you next time. Om Shanti.